Welcome to the Subhub podcast. I'm Danny Moreno.
And I'm MK Sullivan.
And today on the podcast, we have Eli and Tabor, aka the Hemmings, which is also their last name, so that makes sense. Tabor last year, she was the U.S. champ in the short mountain course. She got 10th place at Sierra Now, which for folks, that is a very big top 10 finish in your first European race. She also was fourth at the 26K at Broken Arrow and third in the VK. And most recently, she snagged 2 FKTs in Boulder that are very famous in the area. She got Mount Sanitas and Green Mountain. On the other hand, her partner Eli was second at Flagstaff Sky Peaks, was fourth at Pikes Peak, both of which were Golden Trail World Series races as well. He also was second in the 23K at Broken Arrow and the Rut. And most recently, he got an FK at Green Mountain in Boulder. So they are the reigning champs for FKTs in Boulder, Colorado right now. Welcome, the Hemmings.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. I can't believe you guys have only been in the sport for like a year or maybe 2 years, and you already have all those accomplishments. That is incredible. Yeah, we'd love to just like hear about your backgrounds first. Like, what are your athletic backgrounds? Because I know you guys have unique ones.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. So I was a professional triathlete for the last, well, not including last year, for about 7 years of my life. And I've done triathlon all my life growing up. Through college, I stopped in college a little bit to run a little bit, but then quickly left college just to pursue triathlon. Traveled the world with triathlon for 6 years, trying to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics. Didn't quite get there, but kind of trying to decide whether I wanted to go for another Olympic cycle or find something else. It was kind of a perfect time to step away, find something a little bit more enjoyable. And that's where I found triathlon. Or that's where I found running, trail running.
Left
triathlon, found trail running.
1T for the next. Yeah, I guess mine starts, my parents were both like super into aerobic sports growing up. And so it was like, we lived in a place that there weren't a lot of kids who did any of that. And so my parents had us my brother and I do it together. So like track, Nordic skiing, mountain biking, just anything that was really outside. And then I was good enough in high school that I got a scholarship to run in college at the University of Colorado. And while I was there, ran track and cross country. And I don't think my story is unique, but finished college and was like, wow, I am super burned out on the track. Like, this isn't fun anymore. And met Eli, who was doing triathlon at the time. And I was like, that seems way cooler than what I'm doing, but I also hate the water. And so we were both kind of in limbo at the same time of what we wanted to do. And yeah, then we went to a rando trail race in this town called Buena Vista, Colorado. And we're like, this is fun. Like, why are we doing this? So that's kind of, our backgrounds.
And so
I think, sorry. No, you good.
I just want to like highlight, runners are very humble people. And so you saying like you were just good enough to get to a college scholarship, were you like top in your state or? Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing a nod from Eli.
I'll brag for her. We won like 9 state titles as a high schooler.
Maybe.
Something like that. Yeah. She was very, very, very good.
And you were on like an NCAA championship cross country team too, right?
Yeah. So I was 15th at NCAAs, and that's the year our team won.
That's a big deal.
2019, and then we were also distance medley relay national champs, which I was the 1,000-meter leg, which is like the worst distance to race, in case anyone's wondering.
It's like that weird in between 800, 1500, but it like races like an 800.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to hold on.
You're like, here, race an 800, but continue to go for 200 meters. You'll be fine. You're like, I'm not fine anymore.
I'm dead. And Eli, you said didn't quite make the Olympics. I guess like how close was it for you in the triathlon?
I was
Okay, he was on the team, but he broke his foot like, I don't know, a month before. Well,
no,
yeah,
I wasn't named to the team. I was kind of in with those like top 3 guys. And there ended up only being a couple spots because I broke my foot and couldn't qualify the 3rd spot for the team. Yeah. So it kind of, triathlon has this really roundabout, long, convoluted way of qualifying spots, qualifying individuals for, but I was like pretty much the next person out.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. I just want to highlight for our listeners, you guys are both just monster talents. And I feel like you guys undersold yourself, which again, runners are just really humble people. So it doesn't surprise me. But yeah, and then Tabor, I've seen like videos of your dad just like crushing Stairmasters in the like outside in the snow, like getting sunbathed at the same time.
Yeah. My dad's a very special human. Yeah, we like to describe him as he's a fit version of Will Ferrell. Yeah, so there's not like a huge filter, but he's also pretty like, look at my body. I'm like, Dad, you're like in your 50s, bro. Like, no one's looking at your body anymore. He's like,
hey, he's showing off for the cows, you know?
Yeah, he has to keep it tight for his babes.
Yeah.
Of them, you know, he has to make sure they're happy with him.
Yeah. I have to sidetrack us for a second because for those of you that don't follow Tabor and Eli on like Instagram, they live on a cow ranch and I just need to know more about the cows. I saw your chores this morning. Tell me more.
Yeah, so I'm a 5th generation. And so we have about a little over 200 head of Angus cattle that we have on my grandparents' ranch that we like do like the irrigating for the hay meadows. We feed the cows, like we do all the calving. And that's kind of what sustains my family. That's how we ended up in Kremling. But yeah, that's what we do when we're not running and we're not doing our coaching. We're out like fixing fence. And today we had to help a cow with a broken leg. Like she had slipped and fallen all the way down into a creek. And so we spent like 4 hours today, like getting this cow out of the creek. And it was, if anyone's seen like Alaska, The Last Frontier, I feel like
that's your life.
Or no, The Ranch. If anyone's seen the Netflix series, The Ranch.
Yeah.
If you haven't, go look it up. And that's our life.
I love it. Yeah.
That's why I claim that I'm technically a cowboy, is because I married Tabor. So I'm very much not a cowboy, but I'm claiming I'm a cowboy.
We're slowly teaching.
I feel like at this point,
sure.
You are. You're definitely more of a cowboy than I am. I don't work with cows at all, so.
I guess he's more of a cowboy than the Coconino cowboy. Yeah.
Sorry, Arizona.
Right.
No, I love that. And so obviously you moved back home probably recently.
Yeah, just in the past June, we moved back home.
Nice. And what prompted that move back home?
It was kind of a lot of different things. We were living in just outside of Boulder, and it was just kind of very busy. I come from a small town. She came from obviously here, which you see no people, just cows.
Yeah.
And it was kind of I don't know.
We realized that we're not like huge city people, and we were taking advantage of everything that was outside of the city. So like Boulder has great trails, and we like really enjoyed that aspect of it. But the driving to the trails, the chaos of just like a college town. And whenever we could, we were escaping back up to my parents and like sleeping in our basement at like the childhood home that I grew up in. And finally we were like, wow, we're like spending all of this money to live someplace that we don't really want to live, that like a lot of people would like kill to live there. They'd be like, oh my gosh, you're in Boulder. And we're kind of like, yeah, we're in Boulder. Like, and so it's super privileged that we were like, we don't want to live in Boulder anymore. Like, gosh. And we just got a crazy opportunity that we sold the Louisville fire that happened. So we were like our neighbors, just like 400 meters away, they burned down. So we were like right in the midst of that whole fire. But it gave a really nice opportunity to like be able to sell once that happened. So like all the pieces folded together that we were able to sell.
Sounds terrible, but
it does. It does.
we didn't have that place for long, and we sold it, and we kind of got out of there, and we kind of just found somewhere that we enjoyed more. And really, everything we've been doing, like the lifestyle changes that we've made, is all for enjoyment.
Yeah, and the driving force too is like my grandma is 87 years old. And my grandpa passed away not too long ago. And so it's just my dad and my grandma running the ranch. And so a driving force was to come up and help and like see my grandpa's legacy live on. And so like, hopefully for us, like our kids can be 6th generation and they can grow up like I grew up, like having the cows, like having a garden, just like living off the land is really special to us. And so that was another reason that we're like, we saw a help. But we saw a need, so we decided we have this flexibility in our lives. Let's be that help. And like, you can kind of train anywhere as long as you like embrace your training environment. Sometimes it's not ideal, like the snow. Like,
yeah, you know better than anyone.
Yeah,
like, we get like -30 mornings in January, and it's like, that's nice.
Just a brisk morning. That's all.
you just gotta have the right layers, you know.
I love that.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how you guys met.
So that's kind of a funny thing. I have known about Tabor since I was about 13 years old. I have been told by a family friend, you need to meet this girl. I have this girl for you.
And then she would tell me, she was a mutual family friend. And then she would tell me, she goes, Tabor, I have this boy for you. And I was like, Julie, I love you, but you don't have any boy for me. I am like awkward and like I look like a chia pet and it's fine. Like, let me just get through this stage of my life and I'll go to college and people will like me.
Yeah, and it was really funny because like we both just kind of had the same attitude towards it. Like, yeah, I don't think you really have somebody that will fit with me because I'm an interesting person. She's an interesting person.
But when we were younger, I saw him at the state meet for cross country and he had Justin Bieber hair and it was like swooped over bangs.
Yes.
I was like, oh no, that kid's not for me. And he's like going for the JB look. I was like, sorry, Julie. So yeah, it never like, nothing ever happened with it. And then I was scrolling Instagram. And one of my friends posted a photo and I was looking through the photo and I was like, wow, who's that hot dude in the photo? And I clicked on it and I'm like, I already follow him? What? Oh, that's the kid that our family friend had been telling us about. So really like nonchalantly and smooth, I unfollow him and then follow him back. So he notices that I followed him. So I get a follow back and I'm like, okay, well, what do I do next? So I'm like, oh, you scroll down to like 2012 and you like a few photos. So I did that.
This is high quality material. Any tips? Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
People, I hope you're jotting down notes right now. This is the A game right here. So you like some 2012 photos.
Photos. Turns out Eli, he never looks at who likes his photos. So I waited a few days because I'm like, well, he should like some of my photos. Like, duh. He doesn't like any of my photos. To be fair, my Instagram was real bad. But so I was like, well, I'm going to shoot my shot and I'm going to slide into those DMs. And if he leaves me on red, I'm just going to tell the family friend that like, this guy was a jerk. He left me on red.
Julie, it's all going to be all Julie's fault.
Well, I slid into the DMs and turns out Eli replied to the DMs.
Here we are today.
And everything moved very quickly after that.
Yeah.
Because we had our first date at we started at a coffee shop at 4 p.m., closed out the coffee shop, had dinner, had pretty much every day after that, we started seeing each other.
A month later,
I started moving in.
I didn't tell my parents.
Classic.
I love it.
Like, is someone living with you? I was like,
Nope.
no, it's just some stuff.
Yeah.
Clean my stuff.
So was this, how many years ago was this?
We're coming up on 4 years.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so were you guys still in college?
I was still in college. Yep. And then he was just doing pro triathlon. So the first year was very long distance. He'd be like, okay, I'm leaving for 3 weeks. I'd be like, cool, I'm gonna go study.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you guys when did you guys get married?
September of 2021.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember because when we were at Sears and all, you guys were about to have your year anniversary. That's what I thought.
Yep.
Cool.
We got to celebrate that at that was
the day after Sky Peaks.
Yeah.
Our anniversary.
That's right. And your honeymoon was the final instead, right? Just kidding. It's an inside joke for the listeners. It was broadcasted in a blog post that this was going to be their honeymoon, the Madeira final for Golden Trail.
We had this lovely little off handed comment oh yeah, if we get to go there, it's going to be our honeymoon.
They latched onto that.
Oh, they
quick.
ran with the story. Oh, it was kind of just a little joke, but yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
We're going to a cool island, whatever.
You guys are the Golden Trail couple,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
oh my gosh.
So to me, that was that's incredible. You guys were both at the Golden Trail final in your first year doing the Golden Trail World Series as a couple, the only couple that I knew of, or married couple. And so and now you guys are now both with Solomon and you're professional trail athletes. Did you ever think you were going to starting from that, was it Buena Vista was your first trail race? Did you think you were going to pursue trail running in this capacity?
So starting at Buena Vista, definitely not. I was still full gung-ho triathlon. She was still in the track mindset, but that was what sparked the question. Could we be trail running vagabonds? We thought about that, and we didn't really think about actually becoming professionals or anything in it for a while, until we actually left our respected sports. And we went in and we're okay, what do we want to do? We want to pursue anything we do with excellence. And we went to our first trail race, which is after we left our sports, which was way too cool. And we're okay.
That was so long.
Yeah. First off, don't do a 50K as your first, I'm getting into it kind of race.
Okay, you guys went out and I was do they know it's 3 miles?
Yeah, and that race goes out so hard too. I think both years that I've run it, it was 5:30 first mile, and then you just bomb down the trails, and you're okay, we're doing it.
I was I wonder if they slowed down. That was a shock.
Yeah. But
and so that was your second trail race after Buena Vista, the 50K?
We had kind of jumped in a few random ones.
Not really thinking of trail. It was more as training. So there was a circ series in our backyard, and we're we should do that for training. And we both complained afterwards. We're that's not a trail race. That was so technical. We're that was stupid. And then as we progressed running on trails, we're oh, that wasn't that bad. But in the moment, we're I had to hike. I must be a failure for hiking.
I feel for everybody who especially comes from a track or a faster background, that mindset of hiking during a race is so difficult to wrap your head around, or even during training. I remember the first time I power hiked and I was oh my God, I'm so slow. And it's no, this is normal. People do this.
It is. That is 100% part of trail running.
Yeah. hiking is normal. We had to learn that. There were some tears maybe. I was like, but I'm not good at uphills. And you're like, it's 30% grade. No one's good at this.
But yeah, like long story short, we kind of like just fell in love with it a little bit and we're like, all right, well, let's go see what races we can get into and see how good everybody is. And like every race we would go to, we'd ask like, where does everybody go? So like we went to Broken Arrow, got shown how to run downhill in Broken Arrow. Yep, we learned.
And then someone told us, okay,
go to Whiteface.
You have to go to Whiteface because that's the mountain running champs. We're like, okay, sure, we'll go there. Like, I think we can swing that. And it was just like, that's how our season last year kind of progressed, is we would just like ask people at the races, like, what is your next race that you're doing? And they'd be like, we're doing this one. And we were like, okay. And like, to be honest, we didn't even know, like, so Sears and all, we decided, Andy Wacker told us about that one and we had no idea about it. And everyone's like, it's super fun, super fast. We're like, well, it is in Switzerland. So we'll like make that the big trip that we pay for. And we had no idea how you qualified for the like final at Madeira. And then after that race, someone was like, oh yeah, if you do just like the 2 other races, you could probably qualify. And we're like, oh, okay. Like, sure. Why not? Like Pikey is in our state. We can drive to drive to Flagstaff. And so last year we would say it was just an all-in year. Like we just wanted to see if we liked it and if we were like kind of like how good we were or how terrible we were. Because when you train by yourself, like you don't know. Like I think trail running is super hard in knowing, like on the track, you can go to the track and you can be like, if I can run these splits for 400s, like I know I can run this for the 1500. And, or like Eli on the bike, he knows like if I push these many watts, I can be in the front pack and out of this transition. And so I think trail running is a little bit like you don't know until you step out to find out. And so like that's what we did last year, is we kind of stepped out to find out.
It ended up being our goal was go to all the biggest races and get your teeth kicked in to learn.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And the good thing is that you guys tried so many different distances that like you probably have a pretty good idea of like what you like right now and what you're good at like right now in this moment.
We
kind of fell in love with that like mid like sub ultra distance. We're like, that's fun. Like it's so fast and furious. We're like, that's so like exhilarating that we want to stick with that for a minute.
Yeah.
Way too cool didn't steal your heart, that distance.
I was so happy with that race through 26 miles. And I had the world's biggest bunk because I was having a great time. I was running with a couple guys up front. Like we were just chatting away. And then all of a sudden, like 15 miles goes by and I had forgotten to eat anything.
We had no nutrition. I was like, oh yeah, I have 2 gels. Like I'll be good. And like, turns out now you like read all this stuff and people are like, I take like 4 gels an hour. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I got to mile 20 of that race and I was like, I'm done. I'm dropping out. Like I can't run anymore. And then I looked at the volunteers and I was like, how did they get in here? Like, I'm like, if I stay here, I'm going to have to hike out anyways. So I'll keep going. And then
you're scanning for e-bikes. You're like, are there any e-bikes around here? Take me out.
And then there was a 800 meter to go sign, but they couldn't see you at the finish from that point. And I really stopped. And
you got to walk and cry.
I just like collected myself and wiped the like all the sweat off my face. And I'm like, okay, you can run in, have some dignity and run in.
I love it. So so you have your first couple race experiences. You have what sounds like a slightly traumatic 50K experience, which is amazing. And Way Too Cool is a great race. Like shout out to those race directors. I've heard nothing but great things about like the culture and atmosphere and stuff like that. And then you guys start on this mission of just like going to figure out where you are in kind of like the world's best. And again, you guys are, to our listeners, like they kicked ass. Like you guys got in the top 10s, top 5s of like some of the biggest races, at least last year for 2022. Sierra Zanella is always a big race. Tabor was 10th there. And you guys both ended up at the Golden Trail World Series final. And so like you guys were creating your schedule as you went on, but I'm curious, like, did you have any like coaches or mentorship, and like how is your training changing during this time? Because I'm guessing you're learning through each of these experiences, like, oh, I need to tweak this and this. And you guys are so fascinating to me because the tri and the track background. So you have like a lot of training knowledge. And I'm just curious like how you ended up applying it, or if you had a coach.
Yeah. So we like coach / mentorship from David and Megan Roach. But also at the same time, like we live in such a place that like we have to be flexible with weather, and we have to be like, I think it's really important listening to your body and seeing like what you need. And we both come from a place that neither of us ran a lot. Like coming out of high school, I ran 20 miles a week. No one believes me, but you know, it's incredible what cross training can do. So we go with the seasons of like where we live. So right now, for instance, we have a lot of snow, and like trying to get in big running miles, that's not happening. So we like, I don't know, we run on the treadmill a little bit, but most of the time we're just skiing. And that's like
Tabor's teaching me how to Nordic ski, and I've crashed just about every single time I've started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, how does it feel to get chicked by your wife?
I beat my wife. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
No domestic abuse here.
He's very fragile. And so we needed to let him win. So that the morale of the house stays high. Yeah. Also, I would like to plead the fact that he has an upper body and I don't. And so, you know, I kind of feel like it's an unfair advantage when it comes to double polling.
I'm a really bad Nordic skier, but I totally agree with you.
It's hard. Like I grew up doing it, and every time I come back, I'm like, wow, 60 minutes skiing. I am like throttled afterwards. But no, to go back to your question, like David Roach is our coach, but we add in a lot of like extra stuff that isn't running. So, and
we also we're question askers of people, like we said with our race schedule. Like it was kind of, we start talking to people at races. Like Andy Wacker always been a huge help. He sat us down, like he talked to us before the season started, and like, okay, you definitely need to go to Broken Arrow, and like we can go from there, but you need to go to this race.
Like, oh, okay. And then he told us you need to do the VK and the 26K.
Woof. Let
me tell you, I am never recommending that to anybody. I'm not like, oh yeah, you should do the VK, come back to the 26K. I'm on the 26K. I'm like, I feel that VK in my legs.
Oh man.
Yeah. No, so I it's a community, really.
Yeah. So what does your guys kind of day-to-day look like? Do you guys train together all the time since it's just the two of you, or do you kind of split ways for certain activities?
We pretty much exclusively train together. We'll do workouts on the same day. Obviously, our workouts are at a little bit different speed. So we'll usually warm up together, do a workout, and then meet back up for a cool down. So I would say our day usually looks like we get up, like do the normal like breakfast, coffee routine, and then we'll go and do like training for a while. And then a lot of our middle of the day is filled with like branch chores, or like we have an online coaching business that we do. And so it's a lot of like time that we dedicate to athletes and like emails. And then usually in the afternoon, we go do something fun outside again. And we have a dog named Muffins. And so he's super patient with us in the mornings because we usually leave him and we're like, we love you. Like, don't eat anything in the house, please. And then we'll take him to go do something in the afternoons because otherwise
he's a demon dog.
Yeah.
Like muffins are supposed to be really sweet and nice, or at least savory. And he's just like, you didn't take me. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Do you guys mostly run from the house when there's not snow on the ground? Or do you guys like have mountains in the area that you train on?
We have we have a lot of variety.
Yeah, we live at 8,000 feet. And so we have mountains at our back door.
Yeah. We have a mountain like pretty much right behind the ranch. There's a pretty good mountain to climb. But for variety's sake, we often drive like for weekends. If we're doing a long run or something, we'll go try to get out to a new mountain, spend some time somewhere that.
Yeah, we're not far from Rocky Mountain National Park. So we'll go like exploring there.
We have the Gore Range right next to us.
We have a track in Kremling that we'll use. Kind of like we have a mixture because we have like a lot of dirt roads. It's kind of like our secret gem in a way. Like, I don't know, people think like Flagstaff is a place to go to train because it's at altitude, or like even Mammoth. Like I imagine the training's awesome there. And we like
this
kind
is
of
our
have
secret
that.
spot.
We have that, but no one knows about it. Like we have an 8-lane track and we have like thousands of miles of dirt roads, and then we have single track trails, and then like it's just endless here, which is kind of fun.
We'll be sure to drop a geolocation in the show notes so everyone knows where it is.
Please do.
That's okay.
I'm just kidding. You like drop the Flagstaff track. You're like, yep, this is where it's at.
We call
not a secret anymore.
Kremling is the center of the universe, in case anyone is wanting to know.
There we go.
It sounds like a great place.
Please come visit.
Sounds amazing.
We'll have to. Yeah, all those dirt roads.
Yeah.
So you guys are both recently signed with Salomon. That's
Woo!
So cool that you guys got on the same brand. Was that kind of the hope that you guys would be with the same brand, or were you guys each pursuing like your own, like you were cool with if one of you got one brand or the other?
It was kind of, we were hoping to be on a similar, just because we do so much together.
We wanted to be the package deal.
We thought it would be nice to be a package deal. And honestly, like it kind of ended up being perfect with that. We were like, if it happens to be like one feels like drawn to one company, one feels drawn to the other, but honestly, we were both just drawn to Salomon, and kind of from the onset, that's what we both like to wear. That's what we like to do. And like,
we raced in all their shoes this past year because we tested out like a lot of shoes. And
it's something that worked really well for us.
Yeah. And also like the sense of community that we had with the other athletes that were already on the team at the time. We felt like really invited by them to come in. But yeah, we were talking to other companies. We kind of came at them as like, well, we'd like to be together. And some companies were like, yeah, sorry, we're not interested in the package deal. But it also came to like, because we do like to do things together, we wanted to find a company that like our bonus races were going to be similar. So it wasn't like Eli's across the country doing something and I'm like, well, I need to be over here to do something because that's not the races that like are going to be beneficial to me. And so it was kind of helpful to have a company that's like, nope, these are like the races that we're interested in. And we're like, cool, we're both interested in those races because we are pretty codependent.
And what is your favorite Salomon shoe to run in right now?
Oh, I know mine. They sent me the new Pulsar Pro shoe, right? That's what it's called. Yeah. I'm terrible with shoe names, by the way. Anyone wants to know. I'm like, Eli, what am I wearing? And he's like, this is what you're wearing. Like, thanks. But Pulsar Pro by Salomon, best shoe out there. I did my FKT in it. I loved it.
Ooh, that's tough for me because I run in so many different pairs of shoes. I'm an absolute shoe nerd. So I think my usual go-to is just the Pulsar.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I love it. That traditional Salomon look too, that we all know and love. That's amazing. Well, before we dive into kind of like the future and this year and your schedule, just a quick last reflection on 2022. What were your favorite races And then more importantly, what were your least favorite races that you will never go back to?
I think mine's going to take people for a curveball of one I'll never go back to. It was a great put on event, but I will never go back to do the U.S. Mountain Running Champs at Whiteface. Because it was like, here, we took this weed whacker up the side of this ski mountain, and then our weed whacker stopped working. So good luck. And it was just muggy and gross. And I was like, I hate running right now.
Yeah, for us West Coasters, that humidity is like unreal.
Oh,
well, you guys aren't West Coast, but you're
in a dry area.
Pretty dry, yeah.
No, they breed them different back there on the East Coast. Like when you're thinking East Coast, I'm like, this is how you guys run. Like I'm just impressed, but I don't want to come back. And then I would say my favorite race was by far Steers and All. I'd never like been to Europe, like ran in Europe like that. And that was just like super special. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm running through the mountains in Europe and people are cheering on me, going like, alley, alley, alley. It's like, yeah, I'm here for it. What's your least favorite, Eli?
I would go with
the stairs at Madeira.
No, I'm purely because of my experience. The course was like good. The race was held really well, but I won't go back to Way Too Cool without some serious incentivizing.
You just like more technicality.
Yeah, I like I'm better at non-technical races, but I've been enjoying the technical races because I think I learned more during them. So like Madeira was something that was like super fun for me, but I wasn't as good at that as I would have been if we raced on flat, smooth trails over and over again. But I'd definitely say my favorite race always, you got to choose Pikes Peak. Like it.
No, you have.
I love runnable uphill is the best thing ever.
I'm suffering with MK on Pikes Peak. I'm like, oh,
Tabor and I were holding hands for a while there.
Yeah. It's like, leave me. I'm a goner.
Altitude advantage. It's great. Runnable uphill. Awesome. I had the fastest the last 3 miles. Unfortunately, I was so far back from Remy, it didn't matter.
My last 3 miles were not fast.
No, mine, I got a pat on the back from Sarah Alonso as she passed me.
Oh my gosh. I got a pat on the back from Elise Poncet as she passed me. She's like, you're doing great. I was like, we're like a half a mile from the finish.
Goodbye.
Bye. Yeah.
Half a mile, like 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And for our listeners out there, Pikes Peak Ascent, that one you start at 8,000 feet. You already start so high.
I think it's like 7,
and you go up to 4 or just under 14.
Just over 14.
Just over 14.
Yeah.
Okay. So you run to the top of a 14er, which is crazy and
as hard as you can.
As hard as you can. And then Sears and Al is just a classic. One of the big, I always call the big three. Zagama, Mont Blanc, Sierras and Al. Sierras and Al is in there of the European kind of shorter distance races. And that one's in Switzerland. And most of the time you're at 7,000 feet as well. So you guys are just like high altitude birds. You love it up there.
Yeah, well, we live at 8, so.
Yeah, that helps for sure.
Yeah, just a little bit.
What were your guys' biggest lessons learned from the 2022 season?
Every race was a learning lesson. One of the things was following downhill, people running downhill. That is not something that came naturally to me. So every race, I think, was the biggest thing for me was learning how to run downhill by watching these just monsters go flying by me.
I would say the biggest learning experience is not getting frustrated with the terrain, because every race is so different. And I think in the first couple races, you think it's going to go a certain way or look a certain way. And then you're in it and you're like, this is way different than I envisioned. And coming from a background light track that it's so formatted that I think the biggest thing for me to learn was like relaxing in the moment, whether it was like terrain or weather, and not like getting frustrated, because that, I know it's not helpful. And also downhill. Yeah, I'm not good at that. As Danny flew by at Flagstaff, I was like, damn, girl, you is moving.
I know Danny is a crusher downhill. If Danny's behind you before a downhill at the end of a race, like,
you're screwed.
You better be ready.
Yeah,
she's coming.
Yeah, I get a bit hungry on the last downhills. I get a little wild. Just try a little
like
hard.
Terminator, like coming down for you, like, I'm done. Oh no.
That's amazing. Okay, just a couple more things. This has been so, honestly, my mouth just hurts from laughing so hard. So you guys are focused on sub ultras right now. Do you think you'll kind of stay in that distance, or do you expect you'll move up anytime soon or later?
Later, definitely. I'm curious. I'm ultra curious.
No pun intended.
Really, like, how I learned about trail running, like the very first thing was my high school cross country coach used to take, he would do the Leadville 100 every year, and he would take his varsity athletes to pace him for the last 50 miles. So my introduction to like trail running as a thing is the Leadville 100. So